Hello, everybody, and welcome to Comics News Today. Of course, this is the last day of September coming into October, my favorite month for many reasons. And I hope you guys enjoyed as well. But we got ourselves an interesting show here. We got a guest and we got some interesting news as well that we'll get on top of. But do keep in mind, first thing we always want to talk about over here is to check out our links down below, particularly our Fanspeak link, and go over to Facebook and be a part of that if you're not. We're having a lot of fun over there. It's growing. And more importantly, it's a community that is active. People are putting up, reviews on books and movies and their opinions. They're putting up things they're selling and et cetera, et cetera. It's really, really great, fun community, active community. So definitely be part of that. Also, keep in mind that although Dinale does keep reminding me, hit the sub buttons and likes. We are live streamers, of course. So we're really what we need you to do is hit that share button and let your family, friends, and extended community know what's going on, so they come over here and join us, right? But we are doing well on that part, though, Denali, because we're over 800 subs, dude. Can you believe it? Denali has muted me. He doesn't want to talk to me today. The life I lead. But nevertheless, he will decide to talk to me eventually, I am sure. But until he does that, definitely check that out. Now, I want to come over here and say hello to our guest today. So this is Ben. How you doing, Ben?
Hey there, I'm doing great. How about you?
I am awesome, dude. It's a nice, beautiful, sunny day, and I got myself a cup of hot coffee, and my air conditioner is broken, so I'm an idiot. But
Well, there you go.
there it is. Yeah, I did go yesterday and buy a new air conditioning. And did you know that? Because it's 17 years ago, I bought an AC actually. But did you know that air conditioners are now $1,000+? Wow. Yeah, I found
God.
that out. Yeah. But that's all right. It is what it is. And my wife was happy. She see if she's buying something that it's not for me, she's always smiles, just smiles, right? New car, new TV. Oh no, there's no smiles at all. But a new AC, she's happy as a little pig in a blanket. You know what I mean? But that's the way it is, I guess. But I have to wait until Sunday to get my air conditioner installed. So. Yeah, hot, sweaty days because you and I live in very similar climates, actually. I am in Japan. I'm in the if you kind of went across a map and you drew a line, it would go right through New Orleans and Mobile, etc. And you're down in New Orleans, so I'm assuming
Yep.
it's humid, sweaty, and mosquito ridden.
Yes, it
Yes,
is hell on earth every day
yes.
during the summer.
Yes, it is. And you and I were having a chat because I'm certainly not from New Orleans. I'm not part of that culture at all. But I did spend a year and a half performing and learning, really, as a musician over there. So I do know your lovely city quite a bit. And I do love New Orleans, actually. It's one of my favorite cities. Great food, fun people. I know people like to complain about crime and all that kind of stuff. But, big cities have that problem. But I think New Orleans is quite a nice city, actually.
Well, it's home. You know.
Yeah. Well, you've been there your whole life. Come on, support your city.
Yeah.
Stand up for it now.
You know. Well, that's the thing. I'm responding like a true New Orleanian, where I'm just like, it's good. It's there.
Well, it was probably a different speed for me because I'm from New England, and I spent my whole life up there. And New Englanders are standoffish, cold. Of course, once you get to know them, they're extremely loyal, and et cetera, et cetera. But they're very standoffish people. And coming down into the South and New Orleans and Mobile and a little bit in Atlanta, they're very different, very hospitable. Of course, they do kind of talk behind your back quite a bit, but other than that.
Oh yeah, that's big.
Yeah, it is big. But they're very friendly, very it's a different environment, and I kind of liked it.
Peppermint
Yeah. No,
Farms, remember?
What do you say there, Denelli?
I said Peppermint Farms, remember?
Hey, now that's from my area. Now, watch it. But anyway, we're not going to get into a deep conversation about New Orleans. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't been over in New Orleans, I suggest you go check it out. It's a fun city. It's a good food city. It's got a lot of course, great music if you're into jazz, fusion, stuff like that. Definitely check out New Orleans. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about your project. So before we jump over to the Indiegogo page and start showing it off, we always have the same questions for the guests that come in, Ben. So first thing I need to know is how do you pronounce your last name?
it is pronounced Fuselier.
Fuselier. So a good old French name. Awesome. All right,
Yep.
and we have no particular bias against the French at all here. You're safe.
No, not at all.
None at
I
all.
mean, I kind of do.
That was pure sarcasm. The French are bastards. Yeah, no. But
Um,
I come from New England, and we have to deal with the Quebecians all the time, dude. Ugh, Canucks. But anyway, we pick on Canada a lot on this channel. But
That's okay.
it is okay. You're right. But of course, the questions we have, Ben, are very simple. First of all, being a writer, how did you get into writing comics? And secondly, how did you find the indie revival community?
Well, I honestly got involved with all of this mainly through listening to comic skaters
Hmm.
on YouTube. Um, just listening to how they were doing things, how they're creating this new idea of direct to consumer
Hmm.
comics. And at the time, I had never really written a comic before. I was mostly, a screenwriter. And I had a story that I had just been workshopping a million different ways over the past 10 years. And it's the one that we're going to see tonight.
Hmm.
Um, and essentially, at first it started off as a movie idea, but it was sort of a pipe dream movie idea. And eventually that sort of evolved into a novel idea. I started writing a novel. I got about midway through chapter 2, and I realized I hate this more than anything I've ever done.
Hmm.
And so I stopped. And but as I was listening to Comicsgate stuff going on, as I was supporting different independent comics, I started to get a little inspired, and I thought about Outlaw Nights, and I realized, why not try it as a comic, see how that works. And writing it out as a comic book script, I realized that it fits better with sort of the theme and the overall, I guess, pageantry that I wanted from this project. Because I think comics are very, the comics that at least I was used to from the early 2000s were, very colorful and dynamic and involved like really crazy situations. Um, and so I felt like when I wrote out the script, I felt really good about it. I was nervous, I didn't quite know, um, I didn't quite know if I was up to par, but as I was sending it around, I found that there were a lot of artists who seemed to like it, and
Hmm.
uh, and I started getting like just a lot of positive feedback. And I sent it, of course, to our current artist, who is Render Contender.
Hmm.
Uh, and he told me that he loved it and that he really wanted to make this. And our current artist's work is so fantastic. I essentially feel like I found a diamond in the rough, you know,
Oh,
because
right. Yeah.
he's not that well known yet, but he's got that potential, I think.
Oh, we know
Um,
him. We know him well in this
yeah.
community, and he is a good artist, actually. And we have a chat here, starting to ask questions and get involved and stuff like that. And just to interject, I'm going to go over here and over to the Indiegogo page while I'm talking, and we'll get into that, Ben. But we do have a question from you, for you, from Model 316. He says, "Does the guest believe the Earth is flat or a sphere?"
um, well, it's a sphere, but really, it all kind of depends on your perspective,
Hmm. 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 Good
'Cause it-
non-answer. I approve.
exactly.
Yeah. No, I like Render's work. Yeah, no, of course we all do, Bill. But actually that's coming out of yesterday. We have a show on this channel every Sunday. We do a show called TFT Tinfoil Talk, and it's just we just have fun with conspiracy theories and just kind of goofing on them or enjoying them or just having an in-depth throwaway intellectual conversation.
I would
And
absolutely I love those.
oh, you should come on, be a guest with us. And next week is Flat Earth Part 2, by the way. And it was very interesting because we put off doing that for quite a while because we knew what was going to happen. See, the problem with Flat Earth is there is a team of professional people who have been hired by some mysterious individual. And anytime you talk about Flat Earth, they always show up and start being rude and vulgar and causing a lot of trouble in the chat. It's obviously a professional group that are obviously have an agenda. Now, of course, we're not Flat Earthers. We're just having a laugh, right? Having a talk about it and having some fun. And of course, they showed up. They showed up, and I invited them on the
Satire
show.
is like satire is like completely lost
Oh,
on
it
like the
is.
new
It
generation.
really is, yes. But we had a great time with that yesterday, so we're going to do a part 2 next week. But nevertheless, let me come over here. And now, Ben, when I come over to the Indiegogo page, all you have to do is just click on my screen in the Hangouts. You'll see my little screen down below, and you'll be able to see what
Yeah.
I'm showing the people, okay?
Okay.
Let me come over here and boom, there's your page. All right, we got Outlaw Knights issue number 1, Genesis of a Renegade. Cyrus Lawson finds himself kidnapped by pirates and forced to survive the ultimate rat race. Interesting. So lay it down, man. What is this?
So essentially, this is hopefully going to be the first of a 6-issue series. But I would like to keep it going beyond that because I feel like the type of genre blend I'm going for lends itself to being able to continue on with new adventures.
Hmm.
And I've got a million ideas. But essentially, this takes place about 1,000 years from now,
Okay.
and humanity has started colonizing other planets, but we're not quite as advanced now as like Star Wars or Star Trek or any of that just yet.
Hmm.
We are, it's think of it kind of like in the way when the New World was first kind of started to get settled, like,
Sure.
it was just a few colonies here and there kind of thing. Except there are 2 planets that are fully colonized, but that's not relevant to this issue. That's just me. Um,
No, I get it.
um,
Cosmology is important, dude.
yeah. But the story begins. We are 5 years in the wake of the end of World War III, where essentially, all the nations of Earth, which is now called the Inland, um, have been in this, heavy arms race and this heavy competition for claiming territories in space. And of course, there's a lot of issues with the connection between the inland and the outlands, which are collectively the space colonies.
Sure.
So there are several colonies that have vied for independence. There are several that are like, tumultuous, several that, the governments have abandoned, etc. One of those kind of out of the way settlements is known as Therese. And that is actually, it's really awesome that you pulled up right on that picture because that's the planet that Therese is on, and that's the security gate um, for all incoming and outgoing traffic. Um, Essentially, on Therese, that's where our main character lives, Cyrus Lawson. He is a colonial security guard, and he is essentially just kind of trying to get away from all the madness. He's got kind of a traumatic past that I don't want to give all of it away. Um, but so he's just been kind of trying to, do his own thing. Like he doesn't want to be bothered kind of deal, but he's still very heroic in his nature.
Hmm.
And of course, his dreams get interrupted by that ship right there, Hazard, and it's a pirate ship. There's this whole colonization has given way to a new boom in piracy
Hmm.
and in a new golden age for piracy and crime lords and gangs.
Hmm.
uh so of course, the crew of Hazard are coming to steal something from an art gala, something that probably shouldn't be at an art gala, but it is. And in the midst of all this, Cyrus ends up getting kidnapped. And
Oh,
so
my.
as a result, he has to kind of learn how to survive in this environment of pirates, and he has to confront his own biases and prejudices about pirates because he's
Hmm.
very, he's very stone cold about criminals.
He's a cop.
So
So makes
yeah,
sense. And I
so
just have
he
to
has
say,
to.
Uhura is looking great, by the way.
That was Render right there. Render's a big Trek fan. I
Obviously.
am not a fan of Trek. I just
Well, we have
I
many. Obviously, as humans, but we have a kind of Klingon reference here. We have a Star Trek Enterprise bridge reference here. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. Wink, 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 wink. Yeah. So
but So anyway, Cyrus is our guy on the far left there, on that photo you were just on.
right here. Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
and in the
So
center there, that's Kodiak. He's the captain of the gunners, who are attack and defense for the ship.
right.
Next to him is Serpent, who is the quartermaster, second in command essentially, and he's also the con man of the group. He puts on the many disguises and can lie like it's a bodily function.
I see.
But of
Yeah.
course, that's caused issues for him, which you'll find out about. Um, and then to the right of him is Bit, who is one of the tech members of the crew, who is very incompetent.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, goodness gracious. But it is interesting that your protagonist here is a redhead, a ginger. You do realize there's a ginger apocalypse going on right now.
Well, I honestly like his hair kind of shifts a little bit just depending on the lighting. It's like if it's kind of a light brown, but then it'll look red in certain light,
No, it's red for me, and it shall always be red for me.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We must defend our gingers.
Can be whatever you want it to
Thank
be.
you. And see, it's red down here too. It's red. Yeah, okay, I'm going with it. But all right. Well, the first thing I see here is the art's pretty good. Denali, what are you thinking about what you're seeing, dude?
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Proportion and perception looks good. The colorings are solid, and the inking is really good as well.
It is.
So,
There is good perspective. You're right. Yeah.
mhm.
The
So I,
colors were done by Press Colors,
mhm.
Prasad Patanik. He's a
Mhm.
super professional, and I mean, the first time he sent one of these pages back to me, like my mind blew, like
Mhm.
because I'd actually had him colored before, like I was paying another colorist, but like he brought this new depth and dimension to it that I was like, yes, like we need this,
Yeah, no, it looks good overall, dude. It's nice. And of course, Bill from Argos Creations over here, he says, the story actually has me interested, which is rare because I'm a jaded and cynical person. All right, Bill.
See, that's the thing. I'm jaded and cynical as well. So I wrote this story especially for men like yourself or women like yourself as well.
Oh, thank you. I do identify as both. But yeah, no, well, of course, the difference is Bill is a very, very, very old man. And I don't think you are.
Wait, why are
I'm
you
not.
saying
I
Bill's old? He's not
Bill's
that
very
old.
old. He looks
That's
30 years older
nice.
than he is, actually, which is awesome.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, what's up, dude?
I am 30.
Yeah, no, I thought so. I felt so. Bill is more than that, a lot more. He looks about 82, but I do think he's slightly younger than that. Me personally, I'm 49, but I look 20, so it's all good. It's all good.
Hell yeah.
No, it's not true at all. I'm completely gray. I'm the oldest person in the room always. It's so sad, especially here in Japan. You realize that there are 70-year-old men walking around Japan that have solid colored hair with no gray at all. It's disgusting.
Damn.
Yeah, no, it's
See,
not
I,
fair.
I want to visit Japan really bad. Like
Really,
it's
everyone says that.
one of my
Why?
dream destinations.
Well, how
Well,
come?
like most of the entertainment I loved growing up was from Japan, and like I grew to really like a lot of aspects of the culture and plus the
I
women,
see. Oh well,
Mhm.
I will say this: that Japan is a very boring place, and when it's not, they're goofy. As a matter of fact, I think the word "goofy" was created for the Japanese. Just so you know.
But see,
Can,
I think that's awesome though.
All right. Well, then you're good to go, man. Welcome. Todd, sounds
can
like
I
you have
ask?
something to say. Go ahead, man.
I have some questions. Is it okay if I ask some questions?
No, it
This
Sure.
is
isn't. But go ahead.
this is great art,
It is.
but the way you set up this page, this Indiegogo, I hate it. I
Okay.
like I like that you're showcasing the art, but down the bottom, I want to know who your team is, and I can't even get there. And you have somebody with cachet
Yeah,
who's
render.
drawn this, yeah. So you're not utilizing the names that you have involved,
Well,
and they would definitely serve you to use them because they bring something, right?
he does mention them in the beginning, just so you know. But I
Right.
think I
But
think
I
what
want
he's
to
saying
see
is
like
he wants pictures and stuff like that. Yeah.
not so much. I don't need a picture of Render. He's not that good looking. But anyway, down the bottom, it could say who he is, what he's done. He just got off the eighth largest Indiegogo. Da da da. I mean, that would all bring you something, at least as far as like I don't. You just mentioned who your colorist is, and I have never heard of him. But I would see the name, and then I'd go look and go, oh, okay. I think I might have seen this guy work on this or that, and that's not there. And granted, that might be ancillary to you, but to people like me in the industry, I want to know, oh man, who's doing this? Because this is actually excellent. Because that also helps me decide whether I'd like it or not, or I want to buy it. Because I'm obviously going to support something like you know that I kind of worked with Render on Graveyard Shift too.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so you know what I mean? That I think there's names here that are missing that would give you help give a push.
Well, okay. I'll edit that right after this stream.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think he's right. It will help you. Don't misunderstand though. The rest of it I like. I think it's
Yeah,
sweet and
it's
tight
solid.
and to the point. Yeah. But having a little bit more information about the little bit of the celebrity you have on your piece here
This is
would
my
probably help you.
team.
Yeah.
These who they are. This is what they did.
Hmm.
This would definitely, you know, should be part of that front page.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now speaking of presentation and stuff, you have what looks like a cover at the top, or at least the kind of zoomed in
Yes.
piece of a cover up in
Yes.
here. And it's tough, right? Because that space is small and it doesn't allow you to do much. You can't really get it in. But you might want to get Render to do something just like for an icon button, just a button, thumbnail piece for you that has your title Outlaw Knights and just more of a logo type of thing to throw up here.
Okay.
I
Oh, well,
think
I actually have one that I can use, so
okay.
I can swap that out
Yeah,
easily.
well, it's fine, but it cuts off. We don't see the name in it. We just see the bottom of Knights, and I know why you did it. I get why you did it, but
Mhm.
we want it to be want this to be as professional and tight as possible, so people see it and they don't question things like that. So just take this piece of art. I would say throw it down with the other pieces of art, which are great, and then put your logo up top and make sure it's catchy and it catches people attention. Ooh, interesting, right? Because this it just looks unprofessional, and you don't want that to be the first impression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I think otherwise, I like the page. It's very the synopsis is nice. It's to the point. You give plenty of information here. It's short. It shows exactly what's going on. It has the perks. Other than the addition
Shows
of
all the right artwork.
it
I mean, these
does,
are
yeah.
excellent pages.
Yeah, it's a good page, but I do think Todd's probably right. You should talk a little bit about render and give us some information on your colors. You have a letterer, or is it just render taking care of that?
I'm in talks with Eric Weathers about doing letter. Yeah, I know. I
Ah,
mean, I
Eric.
when I saw the name Eric Weathers, letters everything, I'm like, well, I'd better go to him.
Yeah, yeah, you should. We love Eric over here, and we wish him nothing but success. But it's funny because boy, I think he's probably one of the people who's benefited the most out of the indie revival so far. Don't you think, Dinelli?
Oh,
Denali's,
oh yes,
yeah.
yes, yes,
No, he
yes.
has, dude. He's got so much work.
Yeah.
He's made a name for himself, and that's going to carry with him for years, dude. So good
Hmm.
on Eric, man. Good on him. It just
And
makes
he'll
me
be
laugh.
able
Yeah.
to in his own bio, he'll be able to put, I've been a part of this book, this book, this book, this
Yes.
book, and
Yes.
some of these books have made killer amounts of
Huge money.
money.
Yes.
So, and granted, that might not be here or there, but still, for people like me, look at that and go, okay, this is trustworthy. This is cachet. This has,
Hmm. Hmm.
people that I recognize or I know or I've talked to. That means a lot to me.
Well,
Absolutely.
and do take everything we're saying in stride, right? Because I think it's a great looking project, and we're just trying to
Oh yeah.
help you be as successful as possible, and that's what we do over
No,
here
like
because we
I'm
support these things.
I'm I'm a sponge right now because I'm new to all this. So like,
Mhm.
Mhm.
all constructive criticism is good, you know?
It is, and because we really spend a lot of time over here supporting the revival movement, and we want everyone to be as successful as possible. Because I think it's a good looking page, and you do have some cachet behind this. You should sell it, right? Just keep in mind, even though you might not be a salesman, you are selling something, and you need
Yeah.
to shill it, and it's okay. We're
Yeah.
not communists. The people over here are not communists. I know that we're surrounded by them these days, but we're not, and capitalism is a good thing. We agree with it. So, don't be
You
afraid of it.
you have
All
to be
right.
out front, right?
Yeah.
Because these guys are art guys and colorist guys. They're busy, so you make the post and they'll retweet them at least, right? Because like I said, Render's already working again with Art T Bear and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he's got stuff he's got to do. But if you make those posts, I'm sure he'll retweet them
Oh
because
yeah.
he wants to succeed.
Sure.
So you got to be the leader. You're the ringleader. You're the PT Barnum. You got to get out there and put it everywhere. You might have to start a WordPress. You might have to do, create a mailing list if you don't already have that. I'm not,
Yeah.
You might already have it, but if you don't, a mailing list is key.
hmm
Yeah.
and coming on shows like this is a great idea. And I hope you can get on as many as you can in the next couple of months
Oh
to
yeah.
sell this project.
I've been cranking out messages to everybody.
That's cool, and you should, dude. And I think it's a good looking page. A couple of little adjustments, and I think you'll be just right. But interesting story, interesting ideas, and Bill is agreeing that he's very, very old. He's so old that he poops fossils. Thank you, Bill. And he says Chester looks 20 from the ankles down. That's right. That's right, baby. I got sexy ankles. All right. Yeah, great looking project here. Now, what we're going to do, Ben, is we're going to go over and do a little bit of news, and for about 20 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes of the show, we'll come back and we'll take a look at your perks. Okay? And
Sounds good.
sounds good. So, Denali, you ready? You warmed up?
Yeah, Ben ready.
Ben, ready. Okay, fine. Eric Hawkins is in. He says, Eric, who? Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
Because we Eric Weathers, I don't know if you know this or not, Ben, but he's actually an artist as well, not just a letterer. And of
I
course,
Yeah, I think so. I thought I saw some of his
yeah,
work on his page.
and he has his own books. Actually, he's brought on the crowdfunding, and actually one of them was really beautiful. What was the name of the one with the big giant fortress that goes back in time? The Flying Fortress. Um,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been retweeting the heck out of that one.
yeah, it's beautiful. But anyway. Of course, we have a show on this channel called Drone Recorded Fan Edition, and of course Eric Weathers was on several times, and of course Eric Hawkins as well. And we always I intentionally mispronounce Eric Hawkins' name as being Eric Weathers, and it just I think he hates me. I'm pretty sure he hates me. Yeah. Yeah, pretty sure. But anyway, let me jump over here and let's get into some of this news. And the first little article is it's interesting. Let me just let Dinale take the lead, and I'll give my opinion. Go ahead, Dinale.
All right, Deborah Ann Wool, Matthew Lennar, headline
Lillard.
Lither.
No,
Sorry,
no,
Lither.
no.
Lillard.
Lillard.
Lillard. Yeah.
Litter.
No. Litter is what cats do. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. All right, continue on. Headlines live Dungeon and Dragon to benefit autism awareness.
Okay, so Deborah Ann Wall is, of course, from Daredevil. Matthew
Mm-hmm.
Lillard, I know the name, but I don't know who he is.
Shaggy.
Shaggy, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read through this. It's not a huge article. I'm going to read through just a little bit because I want to know what you guys in the chat think about this because just let me read it. A star-studded Dungeons and Dragons show will be taking place in November to benefit the Autism Society of America. Okay. Daredevil actress Deborah Ann Wall will lead an all-star party of Dungeons and Dragons players in Lost Odyssey, the Book of Knowledge, a live D&D experience being held to raise money and awareness for the Autism Society of America. Yes, thank you, CBS. You said that already. Joining Wall are actors Matthew Lillard and TJ Storm, no clue, and internet personalities Satin Phoenix, Kate Welch, and Xander Jean Niret. The group will also be joined by as to be announced mystery guest. The event will take place at the Alex Theater on November 15, and tickets, listen carefully, and tickets running from $20 to $179 depending on seat location. Now,
What?
now, what exactly? This is D&D. So if you're going to sell tickets to it, well, that what's telling me is you've scripted this, right? So, and if you haven't scripted it, then someone needs to kick you square in the jaw, right? Because if it's scripted and this is a played out 2 hour thing and everyone's acting and they have their script and they're on point, okay, fine, you've created some form of entertainment. But if you're just sitting there playing D&D and you're going to charge people freaking $179, so this is not right. Now I understand it's an autism money gathering thing, so I guess you can forgive it, but it's weird, dude. And I'm a D&Der since the age of 9.
Right.
Understand that. And I know that's why Dinale
So
put it here is because I'm a
yeah,
D&Der.
yes, that,
Mm,
and because I knew you were going to pick up on that tickets part as well,
yeah.
because it is scripted when they have these individual. It's part improv. They improvise, but most of it is just kind of linear. You get through it, 2 hour
Mm,
entertainment. Here's the
yeah.
plot points we're gonna hit, but you can wiggle into it,
Now
kind
there
of
is
deal.
some swag you do get, right, which is kind of nice.
Mhm.
The attendees get great swag, including a 1 year free subscription to the virtual tabletop service Roll20. I would prefer Foregrounds, but okay, and an exclusive DLC pack for D&D game Neverwinter. All right, fine. Those who can't attend can still watch a live stream on Twitch free and donate for a chance at thousands of giveaways. Okay, that's kind of cool. With all the donation going to ASA. Once again, we mentioned it. A production team will also be working on a documentary for the event. You pretentious pricks. But anyway, um, Ben, what do you think
It,
about this?
Well, I was never, I don't know, I was never big into D&D,
Mhm.
I got into Yu-Gi-Oh, which is kind of
Oh, sure.
sad.
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
but,
it's not. No, it's not. It's fine, dude. A
but
lot
I
of
mean,
people,
every freaking, like, spanning from video games to Dungeons and Dragons to movies and all that, like, it's just, everything's becoming some kind of cause that's
yeah.
related to something on the political spectrum. And it's
Yeah.
just it sours me to all of it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It is, and everything's theater, and everything's there to make money. And of course, we see it all the time. We just saw it recently with Greta Thunberg, right?
Yep.
The acting
Oh,
girl who got up there and made an
it's
ass
like
of
for
herself.
me,
Yeah.
well, my thing is like if she's being sincere, like, it's like it makes me angry because I think about the fact that there are adults putting all these ideas in her head that like
Hmm.
that her future's screwed and that like she can't do anything. It's like adults are allowing this crap to go on and it's disgusting,
Well,
like
it's a little bit of both because most people are only seeing that one little quote where she's crying and obviously hysterical, right? But if you
yeah.
watch more of it, you watch the whole thing of her speaking, it's quite obvious she's doing a very poor job at acting. Now, her grandfather's an actor, her father's an actor, her mother's an opera singer. They're also all Antifa members, by the way. But
Oh wow.
yeah, wow. But if you watch the whole thing, you'll see that she's actually acting. Right. And so it's a little bit of both. She's obviously been brainwashed into this kind of thinking, but she's also aware that she's trying to sell something, right? So it's weird because it covers both aspects of what you're saying. But anyway, it's just an example of more of this same kind of stuff. Everything is an agenda. Everything is some activism. Everything,
It's some
even D
form
and
of
D.
emotional manipulation.
Right. Exactly. And I guarantee you, we will have five, minimum five Shaggy impersonations. Five of them. Yeah. Right.
Oh
But
yeah,
I'm gonna
guaranteed.
maybe, yeah. I'm going to move away from this, but it's weird for me, man, because I don't want to complain about it. Because the more people playing D&D, the better, or even just board games. Because it's simply, I love video games, but no matter what video game you're playing, ultimately you're playing by yourself. Right in the
Yeah.
end, right, where you're sitting at a table playing, doing a board game, or some kind of role playing game or something like that. You're interacting, you're learning social interaction, and this is a huge problem with the modern world. These young people don't know how to talk to each other. That's why all they do is scream Nazi. That's why that's all we get, because they don't never learned how to talk to each other, and they've been told they're special from day one, and but they've had no experience in how to make that happen, because they're so cloistered and so protected. But it is what it is. Eric here says, if you haven't, reach out to Niall Scala to get on crowdfunding comics with Billy Tucci. Oh, there you go. It's a running
Who?
gag. I could never hate you, Chester. I can't quit you. Thank you, Eric. All right, let's move on, because this next bit of news is making Eric Larson absolutely spin in his grave. Oh, I'm sorry, he's still alive.
Oh my lord.
All right. So for the upcoming New York Comic Con, Todd McFarlane is getting a Guinness World Record award for his making the longest running creator-owned comic book with 301. They'll be awarding it as 301 is published. So get into the panel and see him get that award. But
Yeah, okay, whatever. But this is funny because, of course, they talk about creator controlled and owned, and we don't even think
Mhm.
about it when we think of Spawn, that it has been running that long, because it's become such a thing in the background, right? Uh, but Eric Larson, the reason I mentioned it, because he's absolutely insane person who's lost his damn mind. His Savage Dragon has been going very, very similar amount of time, right? And I'm kind of curious, did Eric keep complete control of Savage Dragon? Is there maybe that's why the things are different, because McFarlane kept complete control? But I thought those image guys, that was the whole point of them keeping control of their stuff. But then again, Todd, you and I were having a conversation the other day, which I won't spoil. But we know that old Rob Liefeld lost a lot of his properties, didn't he? And Todd has decided not to talk to me. See,
Yeah.
the
Well,
professionalism.
no, he's not. He's still not there. He's at 245, 246
Sure, but I'm
issues.
just curious about that, because I
But
know McFarlane
I
kept it
wouldn't be
in the. Yeah, go ahead.
I,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, because a lot of these creator owns has been selling their
Yeah.
property. That's why there was a whole tiff between Rob Liefeld and the Youngblood with the Terrific Project,
Well, that's
which we
funny
talked
though.
about earlier.
That is
Yeah.
funny though, because he sold that off. Then they were doing some kind of a random auction or random sign. Todd is the one who knows this, and he ended up not getting Youngbloods back, which I think is ironic. But
Yeah.
Todd, damn it, Todd.
He's not here. He's not here. He
Okay,
left.
I'm gonna blame him for a week. All right. Well, anyway,
Go ahead.
but yeah, no, go right ahead. But okay, cool. Congratulations, Todd McFarlane. When's the next time you're gonna tell me there's a Spawn movie coming? Hold on, wait for it. Oh, it just got announced. All right, thank you. Moving along. Why do I
Yeah.
have to keep talking about this, Dinale?
Well, because you have Netflix and you're going to see more of the Duffer brothers, because they just signed a 9-figure deal to do not just more Stranger Things, but more other TV series, and more films.
Mhm.
So you're going to see a whole lot of spew coming from them for this creative team.
I barely made it through season 1. Why is this thing still continuing?
I had no interest. I saw all the advertisements. I was like, yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm happy people are liking it, so I'm totally cool with that. But it wasn't that great, folks. It really wasn't. But whatever. I do
Yeah.
appreciate how we're following these kids as they get older, and their Jewish heritage keeps coming out in their faces. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. We got to stand up for the American Jews. They're plighted with all that anti-Semitism stuff. We gotta protect them. I'm sorry. Was that offensive enough, Denali? I could do better.
Do better, man. Just do better.
But I don't know what to say. Ben, you got something to say about this, man? Beyond what you've already said?
Um, well, I mean, that's fairly predictable because I know it's popular, but I think the reason shows like that are probably popular is just because it's something kind of different from what, the formulaic everything coming out nowadays.
I suppose. I suppose. And well, the one good thing we could say about this as well is, even though there is certainly boys and girls involved in this, at least the boys do have a front and center part in it, because one of the things we're seeing is everything is female led, everything, right? And at least
Well, that's
there is
the
some, but I guess. But it's not like it's something new. Think of the last cop drama or something like that in the past decade that hasn't
uh,
been led by a female.
whenever Well, no, I think I forgot what movie it was, but I remember like it was huge in the news. Like it was like first female hero, whatever, blah blah blah. And I remembered I was thinking like, so what? Xena didn't count.
No, I guess not. Yeah.
Like,
Or Linda Carter.
Or Wonder Woman.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Or we could go earlier than that, but
Oh, of course we can.
they
Here,
don't count.
here. I'll give you one. It has some great female characters in it right here. Mhm, mhm, mhm. Now, come on now. You guys must know that theme song. It's one of the greatest theme songs of all time. Star Blazers, baby. Of course, over here it's called Yamato, and that's got a lot of great female characters too. But anyway, we shall.
Oh, I think you were doing the Japanese intro, not the American intro for Star Blazer.
Of course, I was. It's because it's better.
That's why it took us a moment because we're like we didn't recognize it because they don't use a Japanese
Dude, that is one of the
song
most epic theme songs ever created, dude. It's
Macross. They don't use a iconic
we
Macross
do
song.
not
They use
talk about Macross here. I told you about this before. Robotech only. None of that singing pop. Oh my God! See, now you triggered me. Moving on.
you got triggered.
Go ahead.
So this is from Variety. They're questioning what's the continued purpose of the TV units for Marvel, since Kevin Feige is moving all the property to Disney Plus and he's being in charge of it.
Yeah.
So they're saying they're going to lose focus because outside announcing the project on Hulu, which are animated, they haven't really announced any live action projects.
Right.
And the last live action project that was announced, which was Ghost Rider, that was canceled because Feige wanted Ghost Rider for the Disney Plus MCU universe.
Yeah, which is too bad because that's one of the few good things that came out of Agents of Shield, actually. But
Mhm.
why, when I'm looking at this picture, the only thing I can think of is Ninja Crotch Attack.
He's like, "Hey, blind guy, you're gonna get teabagged right now."
Hey, Booster taught me what that meant a few months ago. I remember. hmm
All right.
Yeah, he said he loves the something about teabagging. I was like, well, I like tea too, and then he explained it. So it was not what I thought. But anyway, this article is going into the other ideas they're doing for the TV shows and stuff like Moon Knight and various things. And this article in itself is not it's long. You guys can have a read out if you like, particularly here at the end where we're talking about MODOK, Hitmonkey, Howard the Duck, and Tigra and Dazzler, which I'm sure will be lesbian spectacular. But it's in and of itself is not as interesting to me as the next one, because this one is exciting, and I
Yeah.
do.
Oh
Yes,
wow.
Yes.
and this is from where we got this cover website. Marvel is looking to bring Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin into the MCU. This is part of the same speculation that they're talking about bringing Daredevil as well into the MCU as Peter Parker's lawyer for the next film, and that's some of the rumors as well. But for this article specifically, it's talking about Kingpin, and I'm all for it.
Yes, dude.
For Kingpin returning.
Yes, dude. You know, the best thing that came out of that whole Marvel thing over on Netflix is freaking D'Onofrio and the guy who played Cottonmouth, right? Best thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like the guy who played Daredevil. I think he did a great job, and Daredevil was the best thing they created. But freaking D'Onofrio, I've always loved this guy. He's a great actor. He's very, very serious about his work. But damn, dude, this guy embodies the Kingpin. It's like he was made for it. And they would be stupid not to continue using him for that because he's beautiful, beautiful.
All right.
I liked Bernthal as the Punisher.
Yeah, until season 2. Yeah, season 1 was fine.
Yeah.
Season 2, that he wasn't the Punisher anymore, and it was a complete lack of understanding of the character. But yeah, I liked him too. I thought he was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good setup they had, and it's like I think the dumbest decision they made was canceling Daredevil.
Oh yeah, well they didn't have a choice, dude, because Fox was being bought and all that kind of stuff. And Disney does this all the time. They buy something, they cancel everything. It's just what they do. It's their policy.
Yep.
Yeah. They've
No,
done it
Disney
time
has
and time again.
several of my favorite franchises within the past few years. Like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I know everybody knows about how they ran Star Wars into the ground, but
Sure.
to me, they kind of ran Boy Meets World into the ground.
Oh, they're good at that. They're good at running things into the ground. Yeah.
Girl Meets World was such a bad show. Like the concept when they first announced it was a good idea, and to me, but the execution was, just the crap you see on the Disney Channel. That it's the worst writing I've ever seen. My God,
that is a problem. Well, it's the affirmative action thing that's going on. And understand, I'm expanding the general people's understanding of affirmative action to anybody, right? And that's the problem. They're hiring people based upon their color or gender or sexuality, and instead of talent, and it's a problem, dude. And Disney is the king of this wokeness, and it's going to crumble them eventually. But the problem is, until that happens, they're buying everything, and we know Sony is in absolute dire straits. And we have several sharks in the water swimming around Sony, and who's going to end up owning it, or possibly it might get broken up and owned by several people. But I wouldn't be surprised if Disney ended up owning Sony wholesale.
God, like Disney's turning into like a monster, man.
Yes,
Jesus.
they are. Yes, they are. But
but I don't think Disney could buy Sony without hitting that 40% limit.
Well, yeah, but you have to keep this in mind, though. And I wish George was here because he's an angry old man who's good at making these points. But Disney has been very good about skirting that kind of thing. Like for instance, they are directly responsible for copyrights being pumped up to more and more and more years. I mean, what are we up to now? How
it's
many?
150 years after the death of the original author. So that means
that's all Disney. Disney has done all of that, right?
Right.
And they keep doing those kind of things, and they're very good at skirting these numbers and breaking things out, and they're good at it. They have lawyers that are very capable. So I don't know how worried I'd be about that, because in all honesty, if we really look at it, they're already well past the 40%, dude. Right?
Yeah.
In
because
reality.
a lot of the news that because you can see it in the articles. I'm looking for different articles of everything that we like, and it's mostly Disney. Kind of Disneyland. It's a small world after all.
Yeah. The Willie Mammoth over here says, I hate the fake growly voices they do in these shows. I'm Batman. Come on. It's the perfect meme.
It's the
darkness enveloping me. Hey, okay. Anyway, moving on here. Oh, we got. We don't only have time for one more story. Oh, we only have one more. How perfect.
Yep.
perfect. Did I
Yeah.
time something perfectly, Dinale? No. And go ahead.
And you lost it because you gloated.
Thank
This
you.
is from Forbes. And it's a op-ed, and
Uh-huh.
he's writing, "Why I'm disappointed that Spider-Man is staying home."
This is a good
And it
article,
was,
actually, dude. It's actually a very good article from Forbes.
right,
Yeah.
and that was kind of the theme I was going for today's show, which is there's been a shift in media
Oh yeah.
now, where before they were heavily shilling and heavily antagonizing fan. Now you're starting to see this subtle shift the opposite direction, which is, if you're not noticing it, and we're noticing because we're talking about it for the last year and now month of it, we noticed a shift going on, but this article was very interesting. This editor writes that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is a trust fund kid. He casually inherits a series of increasingly powerful suits and eventually a global surveillance and drone-like strike system. His friends and loved ones are completely aware and accepting of his identity, and his commitment to heroism causes him no personal suffering whatsoever other than the occasional bruise or nosebleed.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and it's is what we mentioned, what makes Spider-Man works. He's essentially the perfect Spider-Man.
He's not Spider-Man at all. And we've been talking about that since the beginning. It's not
Right.
Spider-Man.
But no, he's the idealized Spider-Man. And Chester, remember the last time there was an idealized Spider-Man in film? I mean, you talked about it because you were angry. It was a rant with you. Was with the animated Spider-Man that they released into the
diversity Spider-Man? Yeah. Nick Cage was awesome. I like Nick Cage.
Yeah, Spider-Man Noir. But remember, the Spider-Man that died was a perfect because both his girlfriend and Ame knew that he was Spider-Man, and they were accepting and helped him out. Same thing here. He has tech. He has different suits. And you start seeing a pattern emerge where, if this is the idealized Spider-Man and they can only work for 2 more films, I wonder if he's going to pull another Tony Stark in his last outing in the MCU.
Oh, I'm sure he will. It's complete lack of understanding what Spider-Man is. Spider-Man wouldn't work with Tony Stark. He'd mock him, right? For his, for his impracticality, the trouble he causes. Because ultimately, in the MCU, who's the greatest villain? Frickin' Tony Stark is, right? He's the one that caused pretty much all the trouble, right? And that's fine for an arc for Iron Man, but Spider-Man's not going to work with him. And in that movie, Into the Spider-Verse, they killed Peter twice. Just keep that in mind. They killed him twice. So you're going to make me rant again. You did that intentionally. Right, but it's a really good article from Danny D. Placido. And we mentioned these writers, these op-eds, which is all op-eds now, and we give him a hard time. But this is a good article from this dude, guys. I go read it if I were you, because he's 100% right. And there's no politics in this article. It's just he's right. This is not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who obviously likes and knows who Spider-Man is. Because it's complete nonsense, and we've been saying this all along. Do you have an opinion on this, Ben, before we jump back over to your project? Yeah, he is a Mary Sue.
I mean,
go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I always knew that, the Spider-Man in the movie, well, not always, but I mean, I knew that the Spider-Man in the movies never was going to match up with the comics. I mean, I knew, I thought at first, it seemed like we were kind of getting there with that scene in Civil War, but, I was hoping that, like y'all were saying, like I was hoping that like they were going to kind of give Spider-Man his own arc in his own movies. But they, it seems like again he's kind of just the second version of Iron Man. It's like, oh, I'm Tony's successor, and it's like, but that just completely shifts the focus, like, and it's just that that doesn't sell for me. I mean, I understand that they're kind of they feel like they've kind of run out of certain ideas, but it's like, again, most of those people probably didn't read the comics. They're just
Well, we have 60
this out of-
years of comics that you can feed on. Right?
They what they ran out of was the animated TV shows, because that's probably what they watched. They picked up all the good stories from the animated TV shows that out there and say, "Oh, this is Spider-Man," instead of actually reading the 60-year plus comics.
And it's true. And of course, the best Spider-Man we have, and I know it's not perfect. Don't just start jumping on top of me. But the best one we've had so far is Tobey Maguire, because it was
Oh no,
Spider-Man
that's true.
desperate to protect his identity so he could protect his family, desperate to try to be the hero he knows he needs to be, but is scared to be. That's Peter. And they capture that perfectly in the original Raimi's Spider-Man,
Right.
actually. And
Right.
Asuka says Tom Holland is a twink. Well, that's true, but that doesn't have anything. More importantly to me is what Bullet says ahead of you, that he's a Mary Sue or a Marty Joe, or whatever they call it, which he is.
Gary
Gary Stu.
Stu.
A Gary Sue, is that how you say it? But
Gary Stu.
a Gary Stew. Oh, goodness gracious. The things I learned from these millennials. But he is a twink. I get that. And once again, this is another thing that Booster has taught me. He teaches me a lot of homosexual things. I wonder if there's a trend with that. But he is, but I don't care about that. He can be as twinky as he wants to be. I don't care. That's nothing to do with anything. I mean, half of Hollywood throw a stone, right? But that doesn't matter to me. But what does matter to me is the fact that, and I don't blame Holland at all. I think he's happy to be Spider-Man and he's doing the best he can. I have no problem with Tom Holland, except when he opens his mouth and saying that Spider-Man should be gay, he needs to be kicked. But other than that, I have no trouble with Tom Holland. This isn't his fault. This is Disney's fault, and it's their nonsense, right? And it's this complete lack of understanding. But whatever. The young people seem to like it. So hey, if you got money to make and it's going to be hot and successful, good on you. You don't have to appease me, I suppose. But anyway, let's move over and let's end the show, wrap up the show here by going back over to our Outlawed Nights page here on Indiegogo. Now, Dinale's been dropping that link, guys, and we really hope you go over and check it out. And keep in mind, we hope you will support the Ben here and back him. Of course, we got Render involved, and we also have Colors I haven't met, but he's done a great job here. Pressy Colors. Definitely check this out. And keep in mind, even if you don't back it, even at a low level, at least share it out, guys. I mean, that's something we can easily
Yes.
do. It doesn't take any time, and let people more eyes on it, the better, right? So please do that. But let's get in here and take a look at the perks, okay? Now, he does have a featured up here, which we always suggest, so good on you for doing that. And this is a rather expensive featured, though, because that is $200, sir.
Yep.
So
That's
let's
well,
ahead.
yeah, you can see. You can see what I'm writing.
Yeah, go ahead and lay it out, dude.
Oh yeah, this perk, of course, is with this perk you will get the Outlaw Nights comic book, as well as the digital preview we're going to release about midway before release, and you will also be drawn into the book. There are 10 slots available on this, and Render, as you all know, is an insanely talented artist, and he has volunteered to do this. And I think it's great, and if I could afford it, I would buy one.
There you go. But now I got a question for you, Dinale. We've been doing this for a while, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone put a feature that is this expensive. What do you think about that?
I think that's ambition. I mean, if you're going to
Okay.
go out, if you're going to go all out, you should go out. But I'm really looking at the digital, and let me see. You have the print preview. I'm looking at the other one, because you want the smaller thing, because is shipping included in this or not?
I hope not.
With
That's going to kill you.
No, it is not.
Yeah, good,
Okay.
It is not.
good. Well, I think
and
go ahead, Dinale. Yeah.
go ahead.
Well,
Yeah,
no, I'm
because
just saying that I think what he's trying to get to is usually in the featured, what they do is try to get that one that's around the $40 to $50 range, or even from the 25 up, to try to get it, because that's the average. I don't know if you've seen the analytics on the Indiegogo stuff, but the the average here.
Adam Post was kind of guiding me through that a little bit.
Well, yeah, and Indicron is a really great place to find those kind of statistics, actually. But that $40 to $50 range is really what average people back on a project, right? So they
Hmm.
usually try to put the feature at the top page around that, right? Now, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, though. I'm not. I just never seen it before. Is all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just kind of it was the one that I thought would like really be kind of appealing, and it's of course it would help us get really closer to the goal because our launch was not quite as momentous as I was hoping, but
Mhm. Well, and
um
there's another thing we've been mentioning to people for the past year or so that we've been doing this. Um, when you go to come up with a project, you need to have a community already established, right?
oh
Now,
yeah, like I've been tweeting the hell out of this thing
mhm,
for months, like and I established a mailing list via the Indiegogo. They add that new thing where you can do your preview page kind
mhm,
of, and it tells you
yeah,
to sign up for the email.
sure,
So with that, we were able to get about 75 people.
nice,
Um, and so I mean, I've been giving them little exclusives um, via that, but yeah, I think it was that I should have probably started trying to get on YouTube shows a lot earlier.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Um,
and we suggest this to people. Build up, and that's why you see so many new YouTube channels because people have plans to put out a project. But they want to build up a fan base, right? And it is a smart thing to go. That doesn't mean you can't be successful. Otherwise, it just makes it easier, and of course, in the end, more profitable, right? But that
yeah,
doesn't matter. Your project's out. Get on as many shows as you possibly can. Take the any advice you're given from these people who know what they're talking about. I would definitely go try to get on Edwin's show because he's really good at helping out with that stuff. John Malin as well, at least when he gets out of YouTube prison. But
yeah,
these guys are experienced, and particularly John Malin, he's a pro. They have good advice for you, and listen to them. And people like us, we're just fans, we're consumers, but I think our advice over the year has grown and become more sophisticated. Now, as far as this featured
absolutely.
goes, let's look at the other perks because I really feel this should be something else, but I don't know. It's interesting choice. Let's move on though. Now, this
Hmm.
right here is your standard issue with Outlaw Nights, issue number one, as physical copy,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
All right, rock on.
Yes, sir.
$25. All right, and of course, shipping must be covered, which is smart. Do not make that
Mm,
mistake of putting shipping into your costs. Let the buyer pay it because
yeah.
it's only going to get worse and it'll kill your project. So very smart. All right. So that's the standard one. Yes, I notice you don't have a digital. Any reasons why?
Um, I wanted to do a digital perk by itself, but Render didn't.
Yeah, see, we've been having
Mm,
this argument for a year, literally, because you got one group who hates it and another group who thinks it's good. We over here lean toward it's good because there's a lot of international people who would back you if you had a digital, but they won't back you because they don't want to pay that killer shipping, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's a problem. But so if you have it available now, some people say, well, people are just going to get that and not buy the other. Well, statistically, this has not been proven to be true, actually. But whatever. Render is part of that group, so it is what it is. Now I
Mm.
see this right here for $30. What's the difference with this one?
You get well. This is the one where you get the comic and the 20-page digital preview.
So it's like an ash can or issue zero or something like that.
Well, yeah, it's sort of a midway progress report that you get.
Oh, I see. I see. Oh, okay. All right.
Where you
Interesting.
sort of get half the book up front, sort of in a digital format.
All right. All right. So we got a $45 one here. This has got the digital book. This has got issue number one and the preview. So we're getting a digital involved in this as well. That's the difference here, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then we have a $5,000 one. Tell me what's going on with this.
This one is just 2 physical copies of the book.
Ah, the ubiquitous two copies. The collector. One goes in the box and the other one gets read.
Exactly.
Yes. And actually, the comic book guys are funny because they think they're being special with that. Go into board games, dude, because they buy three. Mhm. Okay.
So, and did you skip the 45 one, which is the digital plus print?
No, I didn't. No, I
Okay.
covered that.
No, we
Yeah.
did that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make
Okay.
sure.
Coming down here, we got an $8,000 one here, and
Mm.
this is a retailer, I would assume, for the retailers.
This is well, yeah. This is this one you're gonna get 4 physical copies of the book,
Uh-huh.
a digital preview, and a digital copy.
I see. Okay. All right. All right. So this is your brick and mortar one. I get it. All right. Cool.
Yeah,
Nice. And then we have the woo. That's a big boy. What is this one?
that is I'm sure you know already that Render is a digital artist, but he has volunteered
Hmm.
to do 10 pages by hand of original artwork. And when you get this tier, you're going to get the comic and a piece of original art and the digital preview.
Yeah. These things are actually popular. People do actually back these, particularly collectors, actually, because they're kind of taking the prospect that this might turn into something bigger in the future, right?
Yep.
And we do have a problem with that. With so many people doing digital, there is no physical copy. So it's really good that Render's doing that for you, man. Actually, that is good.
And you may want to go back and edit to do 10 pages instead of 12 if it's going to be just
Yeah, because you
10.
say 12 pages, but then you have 10 claimed down the bottom. So.
Oh, did I say
Yeah.
12? I'm sorry.
Yeah. No
You did,
problem.
yeah. It's a typo. It's a typo, but you can
Yeah.
fix that pretty easily, I think.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
no. It's only 10 pages. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's all right. Yeah, no problem. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, looking at what we've seen here, Dinale, because we
Yeah.
don't have any T-shirts, we don't have any bookmarks, we don't have any posters or pinups or any of that kind of thing in this. This is just pure comic. Now, have you seen anything in here that you think would be a better featured than what he already has? Because I'm thinking no now.
The one I could say the closest is the 45 one, which is a
The two
digital
books.
book.
Oh
No,
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 right, right. Okay, I'm sorry.
45. The
Yeah,
print, and the issue one in the digital
yeah,
thing.
this
So
one
you
here.
get,
Oh goodness gracious, we
yeah.
gotta stop that and give away my
So
personal information.
Oh, well.
so I think that one would be the best as a feature because you're getting a lot more. But everything else is kind of, like you said, it's
Yeah,
not really a good one. So I can see why he went with the
yeah, so do I.
comic in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, dude. Not having any of those little extra things that people do is not a problem at all. It's not a problem. Some people
Well,
actually
I
think
said
it's superfluous, to be honest with you.
well, one of my my only stretch goal thing is for 10,000 we would do trading cards and posters.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's kind of like a stretch goal thing. All right. Cool. Well, there you go. Save that for later. Now, is that mentioned on the page though?
It's in the Q&A part.
Oh, okay. Well, you probably want to put that
Mhm.
on the page that you actually have a stretch goal
Okay.
that you can add that with the more information about your creators and your team. Yeah,
Okay.
you should put that up there. But it is interesting though because I've gotten a lot of and so Denali has more than me, but I backed a lot of these Indiegogo projects, and I've gotten a lot of stuff with trading cards and pinups and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, none of them meant anything to me. The only one extra perk I got that actually was cool was Mike Miller's little metal prints, and that was cool. But
Hmm.
other than that, I didn't really care about them. So the fact that you're just it's just a comic, brother, it makes sense to me actually.
Well, it's also just for me, I do want this to become a series, but
Mhm.
I feel like, it's like nobody knows the characters yet, It's
Right,
like
right.
I don't want to sell too much merch on them when it's like you don't know this character yet. You haven't really formed a connection with them yet.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, yeah. No, makes
it
sense.
just makes more sense
It does.
to get it out there and establish a fan base based on the book.
And do keep in mind, guys, this is a 48-page book, by the way, which is
Yep.
nice. And we've seen a lot of people try to push it up to 60 or 100 or 120 or something like that. But 48 pages is pretty solid. It's a pretty standard price we have going around the community for it. And yeah, it is what it is. But of course, you guys see that that link is over there. Dinale's put into the chat. Please go check it out. And like I said, at least a minimum, share it out. But I have to say, a good looking project. Definitely add a little more spice to your page by telling us about the people you have and talking about your stretch goal and such. But I think you got a nice little project here, dude, and I hope you have success with it.
Thank you so much, man, and thank you for having me on.
Oh no, no, we're happy too. This is what we do, and it's exciting for us to meet new creators and talk to you guys and see what you're doing. It's a lot of fun. Give Chester a like if you haven't already. Thanks, Matt. That is very nice. No one ever gives me likes. I usually get lots of hate, especially when I start talking history. They don't like that. Anyway, but cool. Thanks for being on here, Ben. Do keep in mind, guys, that we have plenty of stuff set up this week. We have a lot of guests, actually. We have, of course, tomorrow is our Bugbear's Basement, where we'll be continuing the adventures, our D&D adventures in the Moonshay Isles, the Forgotten Realms. Definitely come and see how those guys get on, because they put themselves in pretty dire straits, and there's some bad things happening. So I'm still waiting for someone to die. And there's a bard in the party, by the way, a halfling bard. So the DM is definitely going to kill somebody. But because we can't allow that. But definitely go check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. Of course, on Wednesday we have our show. And we have a guest coming on there as well as Thursday show. We got 2 guests coming up. I don't have my Discord open, so I can't call the names. I know one of them is Doc Salem, which looked kind of cool. But we do have 2 guests coming up to talk about that. And of course, this week we do also have a Drone Recorded Fan Edition. So thank you guys very much. And also to give one last little mention, this coming Sunday we have TFT, of course, and we're doing Flat Earth Part 2. So if you want to be part of that conversation, and I know a lot of you do, if you want to be part of that conversation, just hit me up in my Twitter down below and tell me so, and I'll get you on there to talk about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, just to let you know, I did offer those trolls, those government trolls that came in last on Sunday here, to be a part of the show and come on and talk. No one took my offer, by the way. Nobody did. Okay, just so you know. But we'd love to have you guys come on. This is Fan Speak, and we want the fans to speak, guys. So, Dinale, take us out of here.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us for Comics News today. Thank you, Ben, for being our guest and talking about your project. We wish you much success. Join us tomorrow for Bugsbear Basement with the Moonshine Isles. And then Wednesday, we have Comics News Today with Doc Salem at Comics News Tonight, followed by the Blacklist Universe Pro Edition of Drawn and Quarter. Thursday, we have Roland Manning, creator of Cat and Mouse, as our guest for the Comics News Today at 8 p.m., followed by
those are some big industry people, too. We're talking like 30 years in Marvel and DC, by the way. That's going to be cool, dude. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And followed by the fan edition of Drawn and Quarter, which has, I believe you guys already have the theme for it, which is Magic Cop.
Magic
Cop.
That's right.
Comics. So check those out. And then we come back on Saturday at 8 p.m. for Fan Speak. So check us out on all of that. And then, but as always, your perception shapes your reality. So always make it a good one.
Namaste.
And yes, Bullet. And yes, Bullet.
Flat girls are real. Yeah, they do. I live in Japan, dude. There's lots of flat girls around here. Lots of them. Just throw a rock. Get a flat girl. But anyway, thank you guys. Later.
Aloha.